All right, we are live. We are doing Facebook Live at 12:05 and OMG, it's Jenny C. Everybody, I want to say thank you and welcome. Please welcome my guest, Jennifer Cook with Phoenix Staging and Design. Hi, Jennifer.
Hey, how are you today? Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much. I am excited to have you here. We've been working together, having some really great success with helping clients get top dollar when it comes to staging. So Jennifer, let's get right to it. So you are a professional stager, and
That's right.
so real estate has specialties just like a lot of other industries. So the designation that you have is an ASP, which is an accredited staging professional. Tell us a little bit about that.
It just means that I have attended classes and courses and continued my education to better be able to serve my clients and the real estate market. It's kind of like getting your associates and then getting your bachelor's degree.
Right.
So, it's continuing education and the amount of knowledge that I've learned for the staging industry.
Gotcha. So you're putting in the work. We know you're putting in the work.
Definitely.
So first of all, can you define staging? Because a lot of times when people think staging, they think, oh, it's just making the house look pretty. So tell us, what exactly is staging?
So for my company, we really focus on preparing the house in a whole for the market. It's not just about a couch and a pretty piece of artwork. We're looking at paint colors, maybe some lighting fixture updates, and that sort of thing. So staging is just really trying to prepare that property to get top dollar once it hits the market and to sell really, really fast, because that's what everybody wants.
That's what everybody wants. Gotcha. And so if I am a homeowner thinking about putting my house on the market, what is involved in a staging consultation?
So for the consultation, we come out, we also include a staging report with that. We're probably only at the property for about 30 minutes. We'll answer any direct questions that the agent or the seller has at that time. And then we're going to take 60, sometimes 100 photos, depending on the size of the home.
That's
and
a
then
lot.
go back to our office. It is. We want to make sure we get every nook and cranny.
Right.
And we're not just looking at like taking one picture of the living room and recommending movement of placement of furniture. We may be looking at, hey, there's a crack right there. We might want to get someone in here to patch that up. Or this bathroom is painted red. Maybe we should think of painting it more neutral. And so we're looking at the house in its entirety. We're walking outside, making recommendations on shutter colors, or maybe they're missing a shutter, or the outdoor light fixture might be rusted and should be replaced. So we're really combing through the entire, all of the pictures and making all of the suggestions. The report will have some general suggestions, as well as we take the photos and put them in groups by rooms. And then we're going to have a bullet pointed list of all of our suggestions. So some of those reports can be pretty lengthy.
Gotcha. So it's definitely a pretty drawn out process, not the actual consultation itself, but to get from the consultation to the list of recommendations.
That's right. That's right. Probably 3 to 5 hours.
So do you, as a stager, do you recommend specific paint colors to clients as well?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Included in the report, at the end of the report, are some of the on-trend paint colors that we see. And we do update those on an annual basis. We do pay attention to what's trending.
Okay. Now, a question that I have been asked pretty frequently is, does the home have to be vacant? Can you stage an owner-occupied home?
Yeah, absolutely. We as a company are very flexible. We don't put any house or any situation. Every budget is different. Every agent is different. Every house is different. So we've done it where we've come in for an occupied stage. The owners are living in the home, and we will use their beds and their couches and their bigger pieces we'll have them pack up what we think should go ahead and be packed ahead of time. And then we'll bring pillows and artwork like here in this picture, and our emotional moments, and we'll install those throughout the home. So it's kind of like a mix of what they already have, and then a mix of newer, fresher, more appealing things.
Gotcha. Now, what about condos? Because a lot of times people may be under the impression that, oh, it's, staging only applies to detached single family homes. What about condos? Have you staged any condos?
Oh my gosh, staged so many, a lot of in like McLean and Reston.
Mhm.
We've done a lot of condos there. We treat it just as any other property. I mean, it's a property that needs to be staged. There's no difference really in that for us.
Gotcha. Now, let me bring up my share screen because I do have some stats that I was able to find from from NAR, because I think it's important for people to see some numbers behind, or some
That's right.
stats behind the staging. So this is from the 2023 Profile of Home Staging report, put out by the National Association of Realtors. And this shows the home staging effect on the buyer's view of the home. And according to this report, 58% of buyers' agents cited that home staging had an effect on most buyers' view of the home, while 30% said that home staging has an effect on some buyers, but not always. And also only 9% of respondents said that home staging had no effect on the buyer's view of the home. Any thoughts on that, Jennifer?
Yeah, I mean, I think in today's world with social media and, HGTV, I always refer back to, people want to buy what they see. And when we come in and we prepare a home for the market, we're trying to create a lifestyle, and we're trying to mimic the lifestyles that they see on TV. And so we have found that if we're able to have the buyers emotionally connect to the home, that's when they're going to make the good offers and close fast.
Gotcha. That definitely makes sense. Here's another stat that I'd like to share. It says the impact of the buyer viewing a stage home. So it says 81% of buyers agents said staging a home made it easier for a buyer to visualize the property as a future home. And I can speak to this as on both sides, as a listing agent and a buyer agent, because what I can tell you, when I am showing vacant properties specifically, vacant properties are soulless. And a lot of times buyers really, they can't get over the hurdle of envisioning how to use the space and envisioning how they're going to live in the home. So what feedback do you have
That's
on that?
right. Yeah. So again, it's not just about putting a couch and a piece of artwork. When we walk the house, we're looking for features of the property that we want to accentuate for the buyers, or
Right.
maybe there might be an area of the home that we want to divert their eyes. Or like in one of your listings cases, it was a little bit of an awkward setup. And so by bringing in that inventory and staging the property, we allowed the buyers to envision what they could use that space for, and kind of took the guesswork out of it and made them feel comfortable in that space. And that's what results in offers, right? So it definitely
Absolutely.
works.
Absolutely. And foot traffic is another thing that gets you offers. And I wanted to point out the second stat here, or the second bulleted point. It says buyers were more willing to walk through a home they saw online, 40%. And buyers agents identified that staging would positively impact the home value if the home was decorated to a buyer's taste. So that kind of speaks to, taking the seller's or the homeowner's personality out of the property and making it more neutral.
That's right. I mean, we get calls sometimes from agents and sellers saying, "Hey, I really want a modern contemporary style because that's what they like, and it is on trend." But not every buyer likes that. So when we design our stages, we like to kind of incorporate different styles that could be interpreted different ways, and so that way we're appealing to a larger buyer pool than trying to just single out one group of people.
Right.
So it definitely helps to depersonalize the home when staging to allow more buyers to become attracted to it. And amazing photos always gets people in the door. So
A-
that does help.
Absolutely. And speaking of amazing photos, I thought it would be a good idea to share our recent success. So I recently listed a townhome in Vienna. And here's a picture of, this is the after picture, of course. And this is how you stage the living room.
Yes.
So one of the things that caught my attention was how clean the fireplace is.
Yeah. We really try to be simple with certain
Mm-hmm.
things. You do have a lot going on like around you, and so not putting a lot of things around the fireplace just allows the buyer's eyes to travel around the room more
Mm-hmm.
smoothly.
Right.
And sometimes, when you have a lot of different colors in a space or a lot of different things, the buyer's mental state has to process each individual color, which
Right.
will make the buyer feel like it's a smaller space. So we try to keep a very neutral palette. We typically pick a color that will carry throughout the house. We don't like to change it up too much.
Mm-hmm. I
So
noticed
that's
that too. Yeah.
here. Yeah, yeah. It just makes the house feel bigger, and everybody wants to pay for space, right? Everybody wants
Right.
space.
Space is a premium here in Northern Virginia. Space is
That's right.
definitely a premium. So with
That's right.
this color, I can tell you that the paint color on this house is agreeable gray. And so what can you share about the blues and the greens? Because that's another thing that caught my eye when I first walked through when you were done with the staging setup.
Yeah, great question. So blue, navy blues, particularly, it gives a mental, like subconscious relaxation state.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
navy blue is one of our go-to colors when we're staging a house because we want buyers to feel relaxed as they walk through. If we used harsher colors like reds or oranges, it's more of
Mhm.
a harsher tone to process. And so
Mhm.
buyers might feel a little bit more claustrophobic. We use a lot of greenery with our plants, just adding that little pop of color in there. It
Yeah.
brings in a little bit of the outdoors and it gives life to a space.
Right.
So plants are heavily used in all of our stages to bring in that element.
Yeah, I agree. And it's very, very noticeable. So another thing that I wanted to point out specifically with this home is this was an in-unit townhome and it had 4 bedrooms upstairs. And I wanted to point out this bedroom here, which was connected to the primary bedroom. And when we were going through and figuring out how to set up this home, I remember saying, I want this to be a nursery. So
Brilliant.
yeah, and I can tell you that when we did the open house, we did an open house on a Saturday and a Sunday, 2 days, and we had over 60 groups through. So
It's
it was just
amazing.
it was. And considering I knew that this was a first time buyer home, so that meant, starting families. And so I
Mhm.
thought, especially with feedback, with the buyers that I take out as well, I thought it would be a great idea to showcase this space in particular as a nursery. So as a stager, how do you determine how a space is going to be staged?
So it does determine like the flow of the home. I always
Hmm.
consult with the agent. What do you typically see in that area? We also will pull up and see what else is on the market at that
Yeah,
time. It
yeah.
is our goal to make our agent and our sellers listing stand out more than anyone else on the market. So we will look and see the history of that neighborhood in that area and educate ourselves on what that particular buyer may be looking for.
Hmm.
We are famous for thinking outside the box and trying to bring in elements in a home that aren't typical what you see when you look through a staged home. For example, yesterday there was a sunroom that was kind of off the kitchen and dining room,
Hmm.
and there was another living room and another family room. And so I wasn't going to stick another living room in the sunroom. And so we staged it with a kid's tent
Mhm.
and a game table and some puzzle pieces. And so, we're hoping that when buyers walk through, the mother or the father may be like, oh, the kids can play right here while I'm cooking or entertaining.
Right.
So we really do try to give the buyers, an idea of what that space could be used for.
Absolutely. And here you can see how you brought the blues up. Again,
Yes,
bringing up
that's right.
that neutral tone. And then another thing that I really, really liked was specific to this townhome in Vienna. It had a lower level den. And so you staged that as a home office. So now,
That's right.
since the pandemic, have you been doing a lot of home office setup spaces?
Listen, during the pandemic, when we were still staging, people were having us put 2 offices sometimes in houses.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we have a great selection of office inventory right now because of that. But I personally, I have a business, we have a warehouse, I have a home office. And so I
Yeah.
do think that there's always value with showing a buyer, yeah, of course they could use that as a bedroom. Everybody knows that. Well, let's show them something else that they could use that space for. So
Right.
similar to the sunroom, that's what we did down here in this lower level den, just to give
Right.
them something else, a different idea.
Right. And I thought it was just perfect. I loved the way you set that
Thank
up.
you.
And when it's funny because even when the seller came back and walked through, they were like, oh my God, we're going to move back in.
We get that a lot.
I can
we get that a
imagine you
lot. A lot of
do.
people like, do I really have to sell?
I know. That's great.
Yeah.
So here's a picture of the deck, not the deck of this particular townhome. But talk to us about, you already mentioned how you do inside and out. What's the importance of staging that outside feature?
I think for our company, we feel that it's just continuing on.
Mhm.
Through that experience. This particular house had an awesome outdoor pool that was in the backyard. You can't see it, unfortunately, in this photo. And so we wanted to kind of create, and this is actually a balcony off of one of the bedrooms.
Mhm.
And so we wanted to create this idea of this nice, relaxing balcony. And that's why we brought in the little glass with the grapes on it. And then, it's very small area. A lot of times we're not staging outdoors with massive furniture, just more of a little small vignette to give the buyers, again, that lifestyle quality feel that they could have if they were to make an offer on the home.
Gotcha. So, and wrapping up, Jennifer, my last question is, what advice do you have for a homeowner who is on the fence about staging their home?
I think my best recommendation is, like, let's just sit down and talk about it. I think sometimes homeowners may think it costs more than what it actually costs. And if you're trying to get top dollar, it's always better to invest upfront in staging than have to reduce 15,000, because our stages are not going to cost 15,000.
You nailed
And that's
it.
the typical average. Yep, that's the average reduction
You nailed it.
when you have
Yep.
to do a price. Yep. So
And nobody,
I love to.
I was going to say, no agent wants to call their client and say, let's reduce the price. And no homeowner wants to get that call.
Yeah, and we get calls all the time where it's like, Jen, we have a house, it's not selling, can you help us? They come
Mhm.
off the market, we stage it, and they're under contract within a couple of days. So, I mean, the proof is in the numbers and in the history.
Absolutely. Well, I'm a fan. You don't have to convince me.
Thank
So,
you, thank you,
Jennifer,
thank you.
thank you so much for coming on. And if anyone is interested in staging or they have questions and would like to follow up, what is the best way for people to contact you?
They can go to our website at stagewithphoenix.com, or they can call me at 703-586-8380.
Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate you being with me
Thank
here
you.
live at Facebook Live
Yeah.
at 12:05.
We'll have to do this again and go a little bit more in depth.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I love what you do, and thank you for being a part of my business, and thank you for helping my clients.
It's our pleasure.